Thank you very much indeed, everybody. Today, I know it's a hectic day and Friday, so it's not easy to open up the Gordian knots of your professional commitment and then straight to the top hole. So I thank you, and I thank you, our esteemed and distinguished guest, Lubna Shuja, President, Law Society, and of course, she has taken time out from her hectic schedule, which we really appreciate it. So I will start with a brief introduction with Mr. Rausa. If you just let me open up your mic and then switch it off, just put up your name, firm, and you're a solicitor or a barrister, and what areas of law you practice in. Just a brief introduction to esteemed chief guest, Lubna Shuja, please.
My name is Rao Manzur Haq Khan, and I'm principal solicitor of Morgan Hill Solicitors. So we are a high street firm, and apart from criminal law, we do all areas of law. Thank you.
Yes, my name is Safdar Iqbal. I'm a child lawyer and qualified barrister. I'm a part of the Morgan Hill Solicitor, and my area of practice is personal immigrations and litigation and family. Thank you.
My name is Usman Khan. I'm solicitor and qualified barrister and working with Morgan Solicitor. My area of law is immigration, family, prison probate.
Shahid Azim. I'm unregistered barrister and working as a foreign lawyer in Morgan Hill Solicitors.
My name is Imran Panawala, and I'm running my own firm as a principal solicitor, and my firm's name is IP Solicitor. We are providing services in civil litigation, family, crime, and immigration. And I'm also representing the International Lawyers Club ILC UK as a General Secretary, and I'm also involved in the charitable organization as well. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. Dr. Daniel Shakil. I'm full-time involved in teaching at University of Westminster. Apart from that, I'm also a qualified barrister and a joint legal executive.
My name is Muhammad Zafar. I'm a solicitor working with solicitors in my area of practice is convincing personally immigration. I'm practicing law since 1993. Thank you.
My name is Hafiz Abdul Ghani. I'm associated with solicitors in my areas of work, immigration, personally, family.
Good afternoon. My name is Mozzam Ali Sandhu. I'm the principal solicitor of Mass and Fox Solicitors, and also I am the consular in Barking and Dagenham. And on behalf of Barking and Dagenham, I warmly welcome you. Your prestigious presence will be really, really valuable for all of us. As a consular, as a legal fraternity, we are anxiously waiting to listening to you. Thank you.
My name is Chaudhry Tabreel Aura. I'm former Information Secretary in the National Lawyers Club. And I am not a practicing lawyer at the moment, but I changed my field. Now I'm working in the media. Thank you.
My name is Usman Tasir. I'm High Court Advocate in Pakistan, and my area of law, civil and family. And I'm struggling still to get an English solicitor license. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Dalit. I'm a business lawyer from west of London. After practicing as a qualified and a senior branch manager for 20 years, I stepped down, and now I'm practicing law as a consultant with a firm called SZ Solicitors. Thank you.
Hi, this is Zanfari Batawi. I worked almost 6 years in Pakistan as a legal advocate haiku. I just joined the solicitors under the supervision of Sir Sayyid Afaq for the immigration laws. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. My name is Sayyid Afaq Hassan, and I'm a qualified solicitor of England and Wales, currently practicing in only immigration in solicitors in under the leadership of Mr. Safdar Iqbal. Thank you.
Thank you.
Myself, Omar Arif, and I'm working as a paralegal at Archbold Solicitors, and I assist my senior colleagues in civil litigation matters. Thank you.
My name is Tony Gibb. I'm a solicitor at Archbold Solicitors. My areas of law are family, conveyancing, and civil litigation.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Shehayar Bey. I'm Secretary General for this prestigious organization, the International Lawyers Association. I'm a director at Uphold Solicitors. I have a number of years experience of practice in the areas of litigation, family, and an array of other areas. So I welcome you to our organization. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. This is Safdar Iqbal from West Ham Solicitors. I'm a solicitor since 2009. I'm dealing with immigration and family matters, and our firm deals with personal injury, immigration, conveyancing, employment law, and landlord and tenant cases. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum everyone, my name is Muhammad Assasad. I'm a trainee and also working for my lawyer law. So I'm working at solicitors in Hafiz Abdul Sahib. Thank you very much.
Hello everybody, this is Ashwini and I've just graduated my law degree from University of East London and I work as a paralegal under the supervision of Safdar Iqbal and Safdar Iqbal as solicitors in. Thank you.
My name is Simon Chow and I'm working for Mr. Iqbal in Solicitors Union as the PR manager. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon everyone. My name is Nehal. I work as trainee solicitor and assistant to Mr. Safdar Iqbal at Solicitors in.
Hi, good evening everyone. My name is Robert Salim. I've had the privilege of working with Mr. Iqbal for a while and I'm currently completing my LLM as well as working at compliance.
My name is Mohammed Yunus. I'm a part of Solicitors Union. My area of practice is immigration and litigation. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Romana. I am a solicitor at Legal Purpose Solicitors running my own law firm and I'm also a partner at Access Solicitors. My experience ranges from immigration, family law, litigation and all various other areas.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Amit Chishti. Work for Rani Taylor Solicitor. I'm the PR manager.
Hello everyone, my name is Sarah Amin and I'm working with Barrister Islam in the field of immigration and also I'm doing currently GDL from the University of Law. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Cassie Alvarez. I'm just here to do some research. I have no background in education or law at all. It's lovely to meet you all.
Hi everyone, Associate Ahmed and I'm journalist. Work for UK 44 is Pakistan Reach Channel.
Hello everyone, good evening. My name is Ugo Momo. I'm a solicitor, Solicitors in, and I major in conveyance and litigation.
Muhammad Arshad Khan, Principal Solicitor of Oxford Solicitors. We do immigration, family and landlord and tenant. Thank you.
Good evening everybody, my name is Michelle Burke and I'm just completing my PSC and I currently work at Sisters Inn. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Mohammed Sahil Babur Khan. I'm one of the directors in ALC Solicitors and I do the litigation, family law, conveyancing and personal injury. Thank you.
Good evening everyone, it's Mohammed Shafiq here. I'm also one of the director of ALC Solicitors. I'm a duty solicitor and I do mainly the crime.
My name is Sabur Khan and I'm a solicitor working with legal solution advocate assistant. Practical areas conveyancing, family law and immigration law. Thank you very much.
Good evening everybody, this is Hussein Magni. I'm working as a head of litigation. It's a medium-sized law firm, TTS Solicitor. Major focus is civil and commercial litigation and I have a very diverse background. I've been to Middle East as well and I did litigation over there in oil and gas sectors. It was a wonderful experience applying the law of equity of England and Wales as a Sharia law is most relevant. It was a very wonderful experience and also I've been law faculty with private university in KSA and I taught over there as a human rights law and combating criminal law over there as well. And we welcome you, ILA4. It's really nice meeting with you. And I've been to a lot of sessions and I was looking for you because being a Pakistani origin, it's a privilege and honor and really we feel proud. Thank you very much.
My name is Mohammed Rubbas and I'm owner of an educated law chamber and working as an immigration lawyer.
I'm Nagit Abdira. I work at Bob Solicitors as a paralegal and I'm one of the excellent tutelage of Mr. Malik.
My name is Boss Malik and I was appointed as the first president of ILA and I'm director of Law and Solicitors, which is, I believe, very close to Law Society. We are half a minute walk from Chancellor Station, and we deal with all major areas, including crime, litigation, family matters, especially financial family proceedings. We deal with personal injury, conveyancing, and crime.
Just to add up, it's Mr. Malik graciousness that he hasn't indicated that he's one of the directors of the ILA, one of the most experienced solicitor in the whole as well.
My name is Sandy Mahmoud. I'm a solicitor. I work with Morgan solicitors.
My name is Tariq bin Aziz, and I'm working with Morgan Solicitors. And this is the first time actually I'm attending in this conference of International Lawyers Association. So it's my privilege to attend here. And nice to see you this year, Ms. Shuja, because I remember last time on 2 occasions in Law Society, I had a meeting at the time of it. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon to everyone. My name is Asghar Khan. I'm principal solicitor at AQR Solicitors based in East London, Bristol. And areas mainly we cover civil litigation, immigration, commercial conveyancing. That's it. Thank you.
My name is Papa Mugosri. I work with Anderson and Khan solicitors who go in house now.
It's indeed a privilege to practicing with the first Muslim lady, first Muslim president, first Asian president, and 17th president of Law Society in 78 years. It's indeed a privilege. My name is Ghulam Astan. I'm a solicitor and part of ILA, and just we are one of the hosts today. So President Sittin's right is there. Thank you.
We have esteemed journalist in the back, Sayyid Mujtaba Shah, used to work for Geo and now in Suno TV, isn't it? Yeah. I think you don't have a mic, so I have a privilege to introduce you. Who is sitting next to you, sir? Ahmed Khan, yeah, sorry. Yeah. So he's also a renowned journalist. I think we may have a few journalists coming in to endorse the event anyway for the public awareness. Now, the first and foremost thing is the ethics. It's a conduct on day-to-day practice which we have to observe in our day-to-day lives as well. There are integrity issues, dishonesty, billing, precision, accuracy, complaints. And then on top of that is the conduct issues. So there are landmark cases. I was just researching another day, Arthur Hall and Claire Simmons 2002, one of the leading precedents case laws. Another one is Solicitors Regulation Authority Act Backworth 2020, and that underscores the duty solicitors owe to the profession does not just apply when they are at work but dealing with the clients. It also applies to their personal lives, including their conduct at social media. So conduct is not just confined to our offices, it is way beyond. Even social media is not an exception. This is very recent judgment, 2020. Just to start with, I would ask Mr. Mohsen Malik graciousness to first highlight the objectives of ILA and then welcome formally our esteemed and distinguished guest, Ms. Lubna Shuja. Mr. Malik is, as he has introduced himself, is a solicitor since 2007, and he's been a lawyer since 2002. So he's an experienced in various aspects and practicing in civil and criminal litigation simultaneously. So Would you enlighten us with your thoughts, Mr. Please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sajjad Khani. And once again, warmest welcome to President Law Society Lubna Shuja, my colleagues, and all honorable guests. In relation to high-level objectives, our first objective is fostering links between the legal practitioners to different jurisdictions. The purpose behind the objective is to equip the members with information and training to transfer their qualification from their jurisdiction into qualification of England and Wales, say for example, SQE, BTT, etc. Having practiced in the UK for some 16 years now, I look at the rule of law here in great admiration. In the UK, we have a clear system that appoints is judicially based on skills and knowledge. In this country, the rule of law is designed for the people. It makes everyone equal. Law is implemented equally against everyone. This is what we should be looking to mirror in developing countries. We may start from Pakistan, given the size of our membership in Pakistan and the demand for the same. Our second objective is promoting the rule of law and speedy justice. ILA organize international and national events to compare the UK and the overseas legal jurisdiction to promote the rule of law and legal profession all over the world. Unfortunately, in some developing countries, it is the people in power who are supreme and they're above the law. I'm a lawyer qualified in Pakistan and UK, and we have opportunity to speak to victims who are facing injustices in Pakistan. I noticed a trend. Majority of them have no faith in rule of law, and even bigger sector of them are not even aware of their rights. So another objective is stimulating legal training and high standards of education. ILA's specific objective is to provide legal training wherever it's like or whatever is possible, given our limited resources to legal professionals in England and Wales and all over the world. ILA share expert guidelines on the Law Society's accreditation schemes, legal aid, contacts to law firms in England and Wales. Say, for example, Lexel, CQS, etc. ILA can also assist law firms to eliminate the risk to secure professional indemnity insurance for solicitors. ILA can assist you to keep in place up-to-date policies and procedures in accordance with the SRA requirements in your practice. If, for example, any of our colleagues is thinking of starting up their own practice or already running their practice, or even thinking of selling, merging, or closing the practice, ILA may be able to help them with the same. ILA also provide guidelines and assistance to our student members in the UK and overseas in relation to their careers. Our fourth ILA objective is voicing, I must say this is the most important, the voicing against the human rights violations across the globe. International Lawyers Association strongly raise their voice against violations of human rights in all over the world, regardless of the rights of lawyers. As a lawyer, I have always been in the quest for justice, both in my professional and personal capacity. It takes lawyers like you and I to stand up for what is right to make a real difference. That especially impacts the most vulnerable and destitute members of our society. Our last objective is understanding of legal issues. International Lawyers Association organize events for legal professionals to make clear understanding on the complex legal issues. At ILA, it is our objective to bring lawyers from across the globe together. We do this in the hope that we can all bring forward our skills, fight together where necessary, and build a better society for all. It is down to us as lawyers to maintain the rule of law and use it for its intended purpose, which is protection for all. It is only when we vigorously enforce our rule of law that we can build a safe and secure democratic society. Our objectives remain open. For further suggestions, where we are happy to work together with any organization, including SRA and Law Society, to promote and implement their policies and interests of the legal profession and our development. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Malik Saib. So just to highlight the fact, this event was not possible without the graciousness of our President, Safdar Iqbal. He has put his heart and soul into it to make it happen today. Out of the hectic day-to-day schedules, it's not easy. It's a tremendous job someone has to do anyway, to get the friends together. We are like a family, Mr. President, just to highlight the fact. We are very close-knit people. I welcome Hina. And in the meantime, if you could graciously introduce yourself, Hina.
Hello everyone, good evening. Sorry I'm a bit late, got stuck. I'm Hinani. I'm a principal solicitor in West London. I'm running my firm for the last over 10 years now. And I'm the Vice President, Honoured Vice President of ILA, working with Safdar and Sajjad from Words. It's been a while and an honour for me to work with them. I'd like to welcome Lubna. And we all are so honoured to see you, especially from your background. We'd love to share that. So, very good welcome from us.
Thank you very much indeed, Hina. Next, I can ask Ms. Gulwasna.
Thank you very much. It's indeed a privilege to have interaction with our President, Law Society. We all know, because most of them are here qualified solicitors, we know the code of conducts, our duties, our responsibilities, our duties to court, our duties to clients. That's all written in SRA books, especially Rule 10 of Code of Conduct. A few things I want to bring your attention, being our President. One thing, especially small firms, they are at this minute concerned about few things. We do understand you have a manifesto when you became a president, and in your manifesto you were very clear about the diversity. We do understand that you had a plan for roadshows, legal roadshows, and presidential surgeries. This is maybe one of days today, which you can mention that. That's indeed great. Small firms, basically, one is retention of talent. And when we train them, and then they leave. And when we train another one, bind them to level, then again leave. So the retention is one of the challenge. And cybersecurity, one of our friends, then they had this threat and someone hacked the data, and after that ransom was there. So this is, and other, couple of things which you are aware, especially for small firms. Is it any plan that, or any support where you can pledge here today that, for example, in Black Cab, Mayor of London, so he pledged support for Black Cab drivers. There was probably £24 billion for them, and they contributed toward them. They can buy a new cab. This is electric cab, otherwise very difficult to buy. Similar way for the legal fraternities, privilege something, so it's kind of support or it kind of financial aid for the small or medium law firms where they can cope with the new challenges, because we can see next 4 to 5 years. So legal fraternity, they basically is going to be machine-based most of the time, or softwares. So in that way, small firm, either they option to emerge or they kind of a support from the government, then they can have retentionship or sustainability. If this is something in your speech, if you can put some light on that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed, Gulwasna. Striking a balance between ethics and a day-to-day practice is one of the pivotal and pertinent elements of our day-to-day life, I could say that. The symbiotic relationship between, I would say, the SRA rules and, again, the professional ethics is one of the pivotal elements where we have to keep the sanctity of the profession intact and its integrity as well, and simultaneously acting for the best interest of the client. We should have started with, I think, Mr. Safdar Iqbal, President ILA, to first to welcome, and then, but I made an inadvertent mistake to that effect. Mr. Safdar Iqbal is a director and at the moment president of ILA. He has been tremendously contributing to the welfare and attaining the objectives of ILA over the period of time. So I can see that Mr. Zubair Ahmad is there. I'll come back to you, sir, afterwards. So would you graciously, Mr. President Safdar Iqbal, because we have two presidents, so
Madam President and Mr. President.
Mr. President. So would you enlighten us with your detail? Yeah, thank you.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Ladies and gentlemen, as per the President of International Lawyers Association, it gives me a pleasure to welcome all of you at this platform, especially esteemed lawyers from England and Wales. I would like to extend a warm welcome to our distinguished guest, Lubna Shuja, President of the Law Society of England and Wales. Lubna is here as our keynote speaker to shed light on an immensely important topic, legal ethics in the UK, specifically focusing on our duties to our clients. Ethics are the moral principles that guide our behavior as legal professionals. They form the foundation of practice and are crucial in maintaining trust, integrity, and professionalism. Lubna's insights on legal ethics will emphasize the significance of upholding of these principles in our everyday work. This seminar holds immense significance as it serves as a timely reminder of the importance of ethics in our profession. It provides us with an opportunity to reflect on our own practices and deepen our understanding of ethical principles that guide us. By sharing knowledge and best practices, we can collectively strive for excellence and ensure that our profession maintains the highest ethical standards. Now, let us take a moment to appreciate the relevance and impact of this topic. Consider a scenario where a client entrusts us with their legal matters, whether it be a divorce case, property collection, or personal injury claim. Our duty to the client goes beyond just providing legal advice. It encompasses acting in their best interests, maintaining confidentiality, avoiding conflicts of interest, and treating them with utmost professionalism and respect. For example, let's say we represent a client in a criminal defense case. Our duty to the client would involve diligently investigating the case, presenting strong defense, and ensuring that their rights are protected throughout the legal process. Upholding ethical standards in this scenario means maintaining confidentiality, advocating for fair treatment, and acting in their best interests at all times. Similarly, in a corporate setup, a lawyer may be faced with ethical dilemmas when representing a company. They must navigate complex issues such as conflict of interest, compliance with laws and regulations, and maintaining transparency with stakeholders. Upholding ethical standards here means acting with honesty, integrity, and loyalty to the client while ensuring compliance with legal and ethical obligations. As we examine into this seminar, let us keep in mind the practical implications and real-world examples where ethical decisions making play a vital role in our practice. We have the privilege of learning from Lubna Shuja, a highly accomplished solicitor with extensive experience in various areas of law. Lubna's expertise is further enhanced by her involvement with our professional regulator, like Law Society, she is president, and her past leadership roles, committees dealing with disciplinary matters. Her insights will undoubtedly provide a valuable guidance on how we can navigate ethical challenges and uphold the highest standard of conduct in our professionalism. Once again, I extend a warm welcome to Lubna Shuja and express my gratitude to all of you for being here today. Let us engage actively, learn from the experience of each other, and reinforce our commitment to maintaining the highest ethical standards in our legal practice. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed, President Salim. This is indeed a privilege to have Lubna Shuja, and I not going to waste a single minute and ask the graciousness of Lubna Shuja to enlighten us with her in-depth understanding of ethics. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody, and Assalamu alaikum. Very, very nice to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me, International Lawyers Forum. Can I say a particular thank you to all of you? You've taken time out on your Friday night to be here on the week of Eid. So Eid Mubarak to everybody. I hope you all had a good Eid, and thank you for coming along today to listen to me. I'm really, really delighted to be here. As you've heard, I am the president of the Law Society of England and Wales. That Law Society has been around since 1825, nearly 200 years old. And I am the first Asian, the first Muslim, and the 7th female president. I'm actually the 178th president. So that means I'm the 7th woman. We've had 171 white men. We're making progress. We're making progress. So that's very, very, I'm really pleased that we're making progress. And I hope that we're going to see that change continue going forward. And there's going to be many, many, many more people following behind me. So I'm looking forward to that. Now, I'm going to talk to you about a few things today. Ethics will be one of them. But I'm also going to take this opportunity to talk to you about some of the work that the Law Society is doing. I've been listening very carefully to the different areas of practice that you all do. And I think I've got something relating to most of those areas of practice that I hope you will find of interest. And it is linked to ethics, the reputation of our profession, and those kind of issues. I take professional ethics very, very seriously. You're absolutely right. It is one of my presidential priorities. I've been a solicitor for 30 years now. And for the last 15, 16 years, I've been working in professional regulation and disciplinary law, acting for various regulators. I spent a long time working at the Solicitors Disciplinary Tribunal, and I've worked at various other professional regulators. So I kind of understand how important ethics is. So I'll come on and talk about that in a few moments. What does the Law Society do? I don't know how much you all know about the Law Society, so I'm going to take a few minutes to tell you. We have got 220,000 solicitor members all over England and Wales. 10,000 of them work abroad. So they work in many, many countries all over the world, including the Middle East, in amongst many other places. So what the Law Society does, our role is to be the voice of the profession. It's to uphold the highest professional standards, and it's to protect the rule of law on behalf of our 220,000 members. So what I'm going to do first of all is just talk a little bit about some of the successes that we've had during our profession. Access to justice, I'm sure you will all agree with me. Very, very important. It's a foundational part of our democracy. It helps our society to thrive. And key to that is our legal aid system. I don't know how many of you are doing legal aid in this room. I heard a number of people say they do crime. I heard a number of you say immigration, so I'm guessing we've got quite a few people dealing with legal aid. Our legal aid system, it helps people to access a lawyer when they need to, even if they can't afford to pay for a lawyer. Legal aid makes sure that they have access to justice. However, legal aid rates have been unsustainable for many, many years. And that has led to thousands of criminal legal aid practitioners leaving criminal legal aid work completely because they can't afford to live on the rates that they're receiving with criminal legal aid. Since 2017, we've lost over 1,400 duty solicitors. That's across England and Wales. And projections from the Law Society indicate that in the next 5 years, we're going to lose another 600. So over a 10-year period, from 2017 to 2027, we're going to lose around 2,000 criminal duty solicitors. That's 37% of solicitors doing legal aid for criminal work across England and Wales. If you look at the Crown Court, those of you that work in crime, you will know that we've got really big backlogs in cases in the Crown Court. Just over 60,000 cases are outstanding in the Crown Courts at the moment. If you look at London, just London alone, 16,000 cases outstanding in the Crown Courts in London. The Law Society is really, really concerned about the justice system's capacity to be able to deal with cases quickly, and we're really worried about the number of solicitors who are leaving criminal legal aid. The situation is so serious that earlier this year, the Law Society took steps to start a judicial review action against the government. Hopefully you will all know in this room about the report that was written by Lord Christopher Bellamy. That was written in 2021. The government asked for that report, the government commissioned that report. And in that report, Lord Bellamy said, and this is back in 2021, that criminal legal aid rates must be increased by a minimum of 15% immediately to stop criminal legal aid solicitors from leaving that type of work. Unfortunately, the government didn't raise the rates by 15% that was recommended. In fact, they didn't really do anything. They very recently, in November last year, they increased the rates by 9%, but we've got inflation running at 9%. So actually, that increase was wiped out. It doesn't mean anything. So criminal legal aid solicitors had no increase at all. So the Law Society started a judicial review action against the government for not implementing its own experts' recommendations. Just last week, I'm really, really pleased to tell you that the High Court granted the Law Society permission to bring that judicial review action. We needed permission to do it, we've got permission now. So that is now going to go ahead. That's really good news. We got permission on all three grounds. We said that the government's decision was irrational, it lacked reasons, and it was in breach of the constitutional right of access to justice. The High Court granted permission on all of those 3 grounds. So that's a really, really good step forward in our fight for the future of criminal legal aid. We're going to call on the Lord Chancellor to engage with us and to address our concerns around the criminal legal aid proposals. And we're going to try and do that without having to go to court, without court intervention. But we'll see what happens. We want to make sure that we make criminal legal aid viable for all defence solicitors, and we need to bring more defence solicitors into the profession. At the moment, only 4% of criminal legal aid lawyers are under 35 years old. Only 4%. That's the pipeline of future judges. It's the pipeline of people that go to work for the CPS. So it's a real, real problem. The average age of a duty solicitor now is 49 years old. And I have talked to criminal legal aid solicitors who want to retire, and they can't retire because they can't find anybody to take over their practice. And if they do retire, there's nobody to take over. So that's a really big issue. Other areas of legal aid, we've also got problems. We've had one success, and this may impact on many of you that deal with immigration. Very, very recently, the Law Society has been campaigning for a number of years to get the means threshold increased for criminal legal aid. It's actually quite low at the moment, which means that there are many, many people who can't get legal aid because their income is too low. But actually, they're on a very low income anyway. So we have managed to persuade the government to change the means test for criminal legal aid and civil legal aid. So that means that millions more people will be eligible for legal aid going forward. We want to make sure that that increase stays level with inflation, and that's what we're pushing the government to do now. Make sure that it's regularly increased to keep up with inflation. That is good news, but one of the big problems that we've got at the minute is also in civil cases where you can get legal aid, so immigration, housing, benefits, community care, social welfare. There are very, very few legal aid providers left again. It's a problem because we've now got huge areas around the country where we have now got what we call legal aid deserts. If you have a look on the Law Society website, you can find the legal aid deserts, and they will show you the areas all over England and Wales where there are no legal aid providers for housing, benefits, immigration. You know, areas where people who are on very, very low income really, really need to be able to access a solicitor. I'll give you some examples for this area because you're probably interested to know what's happening in this area. In Redbridge local authority, which covers Ilford, there's only one community care legal aid provider, just one. So that means that those people who are in care, who are fighting to stay in their homes, they are really struggling to access legal advice or support when they need it. Housing is another similar problem. There's many, many areas in London. Well, actually, London is not bad for housing legal aid providers because it's a very, very large area. But if you get outside of the big cities, there are deserts growing where there is no legal aid provision for housing. And this is at a time when it's needed more than ever. The Ministry of Justice released figures just recently, January to March 2023. Those figures showed that mortgage repossessions have increased by 40%. And landlord evictions have increased by 23%. That's compared to exactly the same time last year. So it's really clear that there are more and more people who are facing problems, they're facing difficulties, and they can't get legal aid for housing issues. Law Society research showed that 25.3 million people don't have access to a legal aid provider for housing advice. In Liverpool, very, very recently, they put out a tender for housing legal aid. And this is Liverpool, big city Liverpool, put out a tender for housing legal aid. They did not get a single application, not from a law firm, not from a legal advice centre, not from anybody. So that's a really big issue. You know, we've got cost of living crisis, rising interest rates. Getting legal aid for housing is the difference between somebody keeping their house and losing their house. So a really, really serious issue. The government is doing a review of civil legal aid at the moment, which is really good. We've been pushing the government to do that for a long, long time. They're going to look at civil legal aid more widely. But the Law Society is saying we need to put money into civil legal aid right now to stop people leaving this area of work. And, you know, we can't have people waiting until 2024 when the results of the civil legal aid review will be released. We need funding right now, straight away. But we can't have access to justice if we are not governed or protected by the rule of law. So I'm going to talk a little bit about rule of law. Law Society has always worked really hard to champion the role that solicitors play in upholding the rule of law. All of us rely on the rule of law and the Constitution being upheld and respected by politicians and by public bodies. Upholding the rule of law and maintaining access to justice are really crucial to a healthy society. It's a strength that allows our profession to be strong on a national and an international stage. The Law Society acts as a voice for the profession. We make it clear how lawyers serve society when we're acting for clients to enforce their legal rights. We are campaigning to shape and change legislation that might pose a threat to the rule of law or contradict the UK's international legal obligations. And I'm really pleased that our work is making a difference. Earlier this week, the Lord Chancellor confirmed that the government is dropping its Bill of Rights bill, which hopefully many of you will know about. That would have made really extensive and potentially damaging changes to the UK's constitutional balance. Getting rid of that bill is the right thing to do, because what it would have meant is that there would be an acceptable level of human rights abuses. It would weaken individual rights and it would see the UK moving away from our international human rights obligations. But we know that there are other pieces of legislation that pose a similar risk to human rights protections and the rule of law in the UK. Only yesterday, we heard that the Court of Appeal has ruled that sending migrants to Rwanda is illegal. That reinforces the Law Society's concerns that the illegal migration bill, which is currently going through Parliament, is likely to be incompatible with international law, including the European Convention on Human Rights, the United Nations Refugee Convention, and the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child. If the government continues to pursue the illegal migration bill, that could do really significant damage to our international reputation, and in particular, the attractiveness of the United Kingdom as a destination for international business and investment. The government has already conceded, and you may have heard the Home Secretary say this already, that the bill may not comply with the European Convention on Human Rights. The Home Secretary has not been able to confirm and make a statement under Section 19 of the Human Rights Act that the bill is compatible with the Convention rights. This means that there's a really high likelihood that the bill will violate rights under the European Convention of Human Rights. This is a really, really unusual and extraordinary step. I have met with MPs, I have met with peers to raise the Law Society's concerns, and we're pushing for a number of amendments to be made to that bill. We have to make sure that it respects access to justice, that it doesn't damage the UK's reputation as an upholder of international law. What's been worrying the Society for quite a long time is when external factors start to threaten the trust that the public has in the legal sector and in practitioners. Very recently, we've become more and more concerned that the government is overstepping the mark in commenting on the legal system, and that undermines its independence. You will all know that we have heard many remarks over the last 18 months or so about lefty lawyers, about activist lawyers and other comments that have been made. Those attacks have been made in particular on human rights and immigration lawyers. You may know that not long after comments like those have been made, there have been attacks on lawyers, real attacks on lawyers. One firm in London, an immigration lawyer at that firm, was attacked by somebody holding a knife not long after these comments were made. So they have real world consequences to our profession and to lawyers. I have written to members of the Cabinet about comments that have been made. I've pointed out that attacks on the integrity of the legal profession, they undermine the rule of law. It is dangerous, it is misleading for government ministers, and these are cabinet ministers, senior government ministers, to give out the names of lawyers, and those are lawyers who are just doing their job and they are upholding the rule of law. You know, we are all really proud that we live in a country where legal rights can't be overridden without due process. We've got legal professionals who serve the rule of law and they keep the government accountable. The Law Society and myself, we will not hesitate to respond to these attacks. We will raise them with ministers when they happen, and we'll do everything we can to advocate on behalf of our members. And this is relevant to ethics because it underpins what members of the public think about immigration lawyers and about human rights lawyers. We've seen a lot of rhetoric in the media, where the media talks about those lawyers frustrating what the government wants to do, frustrating what people want the government to do. And it's rubbish, it's absolute rubbish. You know, those lawyers are acting within the rules, they're acting within the legislation, they are holding the government to account, they are doing their job, and they are acting in the best interests of their clients. And we have to make sure that we do everything we can to point that out and push back when attacks are made. Another area that's starting to impact on professional ethics is artificial intelligence and technology. And there was reference to that a little bit earlier by, I think Mohsin mentioned it. The Law Society is working really hard to shape how the UK approaches the advancement and the regulation of artificial intelligence and new technology. The growth in AI has been so fast and it has got implications for our roles as lawyers. It impacts on how we work and it impacts on our justice system. One of the things that I tend to do during my job is go out and about talking to lawyers all over the country. And one of the things that's been coming up in the conversations that I've been having with most of them, without a shadow of a doubt, is ChatGPT. I don't know how many people here know about ChatGPT. I don't know how many of you have used it. Yeah, I've got a couple of hands going up already. Interestingly, so we have a Law Society library, if you haven't been to the Law Society building at Chancery Lane, I'd really recommend you come and have a look. We have a library there, fantastic library, where you can come, you can do research, you can ask the librarians to look up cases for you, do research for you. It's a really, really lovely place. And if you're in London, you can just go and work there. You've got Wi-Fi, access to resources, cases, and you can work there. So I was talking to one of the librarians just a couple of weeks ago, and she told me that she received a request from a lawyer, and that lawyer had done a search on ChatGPT about looking up some research on a case that they were working on. And the lawyer contacted the librarian and said to the librarian, I need this case, can you find this case for me? And gave her the name of the case and gave her the citation of the case. And this case had come up on ChatGPT, that's where he found the case. The librarian looked for the case everywhere, it didn't exist. The case didn't exist, the citation didn't exist. So the ChatGPT gave a citation which did not exist. So, we know now that we've got members who are using technology, they're using AI to help them with their work, but AI is not 100% accurate. It's not regulated. So, if you find something online or, doing a search and you use it, if it's wrong, it's your neck on the line. You can't say, oh, I looked at ChatGPT and that's what ChatGPT told me. because that's not going to get you anywhere. But the good news is that that means ChatGPT, AI, they can't replace humans. They can't replace humans. Humans have to check what information you get. And you know, the other thing that's worth mentioning about ChatGPT, if you're not aware of it already, it's only accurate up to 2021. All of the information that it draws is only up to 2021. So if there's any new information after that, at the moment, ChatGPT is not picking up that information. So it's not even up to date. It's only up to, oh, I've got somebody nodding. That's good. You're telling me I'm saying the right thing. Interestingly, somebody told me recently, it's very interesting, so I didn't know this until literally last week. LexisNexis, some of you, I don't know if any of you use it for research. We use it at the Law Society. You can access it in the Law Society library. So LexisNexis have now, or they are working on, I'm not sure if it's gone live yet, but they are working on a AI function, artificial intelligence function, which takes all of their resources, all the cases they've got, all the research they've got, and they're using it to make like a sort of a ChatGPT, but within their own resources. Very interesting. People are cottoning on. It's very, very interesting. So, as I say, it's not regulated. You know, we know that it's really important that while the artificial intelligence debate is going on, we need to make sure that the voice and the expertise of lawyers is being heard. I don't know if you know, but the UK government at the moment has got a white paper out on AI regulation. So we have responded to that white paper, and we are encouraging the government to adopt a nuanced and balanced approach to the use of artificial intelligence within the legal sector, so that the profession can make the most of these technologies without being at risk. We've recommended that the UK should have a blend of adaptable regulation and firm regulation. So we create a safety net, a comprehensive safety net to safeguard our society and our members while making sure that they can reap the rewards of artificial intelligence. We've also said, because another issue with AI is legal professional privilege. And if you're using AI, if you start putting in details about your case, about your client, you're going to get, you need to be very, very careful that you're not breaching legal professional privilege. Because if ChatGPT it will update. ChatGPT will get better in a year's time, it will be even better in 3 years' time, it will be even better in 5 years' time. And if you're putting in details about your client, information about your client, that's going to get picked up on the net, and you could be at risk of breaching legal professional privilege. So that has to be protected in future regulation. We need to have transparency around the use of AI within the government and within public services to make sure that public trust in that technology is mandated. So this is another area where the Law Society is doing what it can to support solicitors, to support them in areas which will impact on ethics and on their roles using AI and technology. I'm going to move on to talking a little bit about regulation. So another win that we had very, very recently this week, we were working to influence legislation on anti-money laundering and on economic crime, and this is particularly in relation to the Economic Crime Bill. That's passing through Parliament at the moment. The purpose of that bill is to protect the public, and we want to make sure that it does protect the public, but it's also fit for purpose. We've been working with the government to make sure that that legislation will achieve its aim of clamping down on illicit finance, but it's also proportionate for our members and it is targeted. We have been highlighting that solicitors in the UK are actually subject to some of the strictest anti-money laundering obligations of lawyers anywhere in the world. We are held to very, very high standards in the UK. The Economic Crime Bill was looking to introduce a new regulatory objective for economic crime, And we want to make sure that that objective is as narrow as possible, and it only targets economic crime which poses the most risk for the legal sector. So a couple of days ago, a minister, Lord Bellamy again, he made a statement in Parliament on Tuesday this week, and he used the words of the Law Society when he made that statement. So that's a really good sign that they are listening to us, and we are a voice of authority, and we're having impact. What he said is that that objective must be implemented by the Legal Services Board and by the SRA in a proportionate and risk-based way, where it's only targeted where there is evidence of risk. There's got to be evidence of risk. And he stressed that it doesn't create any new regulatory burdens on members. So that was good. It will give a very, very clear steer to the Legal Services Board and to the SRA to make sure that they do what the Minister said when they implement the new regulatory objective. So we're really pleased that we've done that work. I've already said our profession, bound by the highest ethical standards. You know, we have a duty to our clients, we have a duty to the rule of law, and we have a duty to the court as well. We've already heard from other people talking about the strict code of conduct that is imposed on us. Every solicitor, I know, every solicitor aims to meet the highest ethical and professional standards throughout their career. The ethics of our profession, they are based on principles of serving the interests of those who are using legal services, acting in the interests of justice, acting with integrity, and acting with honesty. Part of the role of the Law Society is to support solicitors to deal with difficult professional situations and to make sure that when they do make choices, they are in line with the SRA's code of conduct. But sometimes when we're talking about ethics, there are things that you will come across during the course of your practice where if you look at the principles, if you look at the code of conduct, you're not going to get an answer. There isn't an answer. It's a grey area. So let me give you some examples. Last year, when the war started between Russia and Ukraine, all of a sudden, solicitors found that they could not act for certain Russian clients, Russian oligarchs they were called. There was never a problem with acting for them before, but all of a sudden, you couldn't act for them anymore. And the public, the media, was writing about this. How dare law firms act for Russian oligarchs? We had government ministers standing in Parliament giving names of firms who were acting for Russian oligarchs. And they were using their parliamentary privilege to do that. It's not really what it's meant to be used for, but that's what they did. So, you know, all of a sudden, we had lawyers who were finding they were caught in the headlights because they had clients that they couldn't act for anymore. What's happened? We've now got sanctions list. So if you're acting for a client now, regardless of whether it's Russian or whoever it might be, if you're acting for a client who might have a political affiliation with any country or who is bringing wealth into this country or bringing money into this country, you have to check the government's sanctions list before you do any work for that client. You have to check if they're on the sanctions list. And if they are on the sanctions list, you have to get permission from the government to act for that client before you start doing anything. And if you don't do that, you're going to get into serious trouble with the SRA. So again, things are evolving. That's not in the principles, that's not in the regulations. Where does it say in the code of conduct? Where does it say in the principles that, you know, you've got to check the sanctions guidance? But that's something that you have to do now. Climate change, another big topic for members. There's nothing in the regulations, there's nothing in the principles, nothing in the code of conduct about climate change. But we know that many law firms are now being targeted by people who are interested in climate change, in What are you doing about net zero? Why are you acting for that client? That client's not doing anything to achieve climate change. Why are you acting for them? If you look at the principles and the code of conduct, there's nothing in there to tell you about climate change. What are you supposed to do? We know that there are firms who have had climate change activists standing outside their door and, attacking lawyers that are going into the firm. Why are you doing it? Why are you acting in this way? What is your firm doing to achieve net zero? Again, lawyers didn't know what to do, how to deal with these issues. So part of the role of the Law Society is to support solicitors when they have to handle difficult professional situations and there's no easy answer in the rules, in the regulations, in the code of conduct. So what are we doing about it? We have practice notes on our website. We have articles, we have guidance that we regularly publish. We have events, we hold round tables to discuss ethical issues and how solicitors can respond to those ethical issues. It also covers things like owning up to mistakes. How do ethics and competition interact with each other? That's another area that, you don't always know the answer to. I deal with a lot of admission ceremonies for newly qualified solicitors. One of the things that I always say at those ceremonies is I tell solicitors, whatever you do in your personal life is just as important as what you do in your professional life. If you look, I hope you all read the Law Society Gazette. In the Gazette, they always feature cases from the Solicitors Disciplinary Tribunal. More and more, we are seeing cases that cover sexual misconduct. So that might be where you have a senior partner in a law firm who is using their position of power in relation to a more junior member in the law firm. So it could be bullying, it could be harassment, it could be sexual misconduct, it could be sexual advances, it could be at party, firm, office party, it could be anything like that. These are things that will get you into trouble with the SRA. So you have to be really, really careful about how you behave in your personal life as well as your professional life. Another area that I tell newly qualified solicitors about, so let me give you an example that happened to me. When I first joined the profession, many, many years ago, long time ago, I had a client who came into the office. And this was a client. This client said to me, he brought with him he wanted me to sign a declaration to say that I had known him for more than 2 years. It was something, I don't know, visa declaration, whatever. He needed it for something. And he needed a declaration that a solicitor had known him for more than 2 years. I only met the client 2 weeks earlier. And I was very, very junior at the time. Fortunately, I said to him straight away, I'm not going to sign that. I don't know you. I haven't known you for 2 years. I've only known you 2 weeks. I'm not going to sign that. But there are some junior lawyers, and maybe even senior lawyers, I don't know. If they think that that client is really, really important, if they think we're going to lose business if we don't look after this client, if they think, oh my God, I'm going to get into trouble with the senior partner in the firm if I don't do what I'm being told to do, that's dishonest. If you say something that's not true, that's going to get you into trouble, because if the SRA find out about it, and they will find out about it, because now, when you sign declarations, most authorities now will check. They will check. They will come to the firm, they will want to see records, they will want to see evidence that you've known that person, you've acted for that person. And if you say you have and you haven't, that's strike-off territory at the SDT. You're going to get struck off for that if they will prosecute you. So these are things. Social media, another area. When I joined the profession, there's no such thing as social media. Thank God, I have to say, quite frankly. There's no internet. We didn't have internet. We didn't even have mobile phones. That's how old I am, unfortunately. And we had to. We didn't have to worry about. If we did research, we went to a library to do research. We looked in textbooks to do research. We looked at case law to do research. But now, we've got Twitter, we've got Instagram, very dangerous territory. Because, when you're sat on your phone, and you see somebody write something that you don't agree with, you say, oh, I'm going to write something about this. I've got an opinion about this. I'm going to write about this. If you write something and your profile distinguishes you as a solicitor, and you write something that the SRA considers shows a lack of integrity, or I hope to God you wouldn't write anything dishonest on there, but a lack of integrity, if it's bullying, if it's harassment, if it's racist, if it's sexist, if it's homophobic, they will come down on you like a ton of bricks, because you are a solicitor, and by making comments on social media as a solicitor, you're bringing the profession into disrepute. So there's a really blurred line now. People don't think about what they're doing in their personal life because they think, that's got nothing to do with the SRA. My personal life's got nothing to do. Oh yes, it has. And they're very, very interested in it. Very interested in it. And this is an area now where the SRA was saying, do we do something about this? Is this impacting on the profession? Because this person is identifying as a solicitor. So again, this is going to what you do in your personal, I'm not saying any of you do, God feel like, I'm sure you know, but it's giving you an example of the kind of things that the SRA are looking at. They're looking all across the internet, all over, to see how are solicitors behaving, what are solicitors doing, how are they interacting with things on the internet? Is that impacting on our profession, on our integrity? So we have to be very, very careful around that. At the Law Society, another thing that I'll just mention that I say to junior solicitors when they come for admission ceremonies, owning up to mistakes. A lot of junior solicitors, and actually maybe even solicitors who are not that junior, if they make a mistake at work, they're terrified of telling their senior partner. Absolutely terrified, because they think they're going to lose their job. They think they're going to get into trouble. They think the client's going to get into trouble. And so they'll do something to cover it up. Again, that will get them into so much trouble because it's dishonest. And you can't do that. You can't do that. So one of the things that I tell solicitors is own up. Own up to what you're doing. Own up. Because normally, if you make a mistake at work, it's never as bad as you think it is. Very rarely is it as bad. And very few mistakes can't be fixed. Very few mistakes can't be fixed. So another area that impacts on standards and ethics. At the Law Society, we've got a Professional Standards and Ethics Committee. It monitors professional standards, it monitors regulation, and we provide the most up-to-date and relevant support to our members. And I'm going to talk about how you can get access to this a little bit later on. So I've talked about ethics. I hope that, public opinion, that's changing all the time. That's impacting on ethics. Media rhetoric, that's changing all the time. That's impacting on ethics. And often public opinion is changing in a matter of days rather than weeks. So I've launched a programme on professional ethics at the Law Society as part of my presidential plan. We've had 4 roundtables with members already, and we have already identified that different areas of the profession require different support in relation to ethics. In-house solicitors, they now make up 25% of the legal profession. 25%, 220,000 solicitors across England and Wales, over 50,000 now work in-house, and they have very, very unique ethical challenges. And I think somebody mentioned this earlier on. Their client is their employer, so they do have a conflict. And I know I have spoken to in-house solicitors who have said to me, well, I've told the directors, the board, when they want to do something, I've said to them, you can't do that because X, Y, Z. And the board just says to them, I don't care about that, you need to find a way. You find a way to make it work, because we need to do that for business reason. And that puts them in a difficult position, because they are the ones that have the professional obligations. They're the ones that the SRA is going to come back to in relation to legal advice. So they have very, very unique challenges. Large firms, they have very different challenges. Small firms, sole practitioners, they have very, very different challenges. So we are looking at how we can tailor the support that we give to all of the different sectors across the profession, You know, we're looking at providing training, toolkits, learning and development offer, and you know, hopefully that's going to help people to really work with all of these challenges that come up. I mentioned climate change earlier on. So the Law Society, just in April this year, we published the first ever guidance on climate change anywhere in the world for lawyers. First ever. So I would really, really recommend that you have a look at that. It's available on the website. It's a 27-page document. And the reason why it's important is because now there's a new risk that you need to think about. And this is climate risk, climate legal risks. So if you're advising clients, you need to be aware of what kind of advice you need to give them in relation to climate change risks. Because now insurers are interested in this. You know, when you're applying for professional indemnity insurance, insurers will look at the type of clients that you're acting for, and they will look at, you know, are you giving the right advice in relation to climate legal risk? The climate change guidance not only sets out legal risk in relation to advice you're giving to clients, but it also sets out how you need to be looking at your own practice and what you need to be doing within your own practice to make sure that you're meeting your climate change obligations. So please, please, please do have a look at that advice. You can, the guidance, you can download it, have a read of it. I'm sure you'll all find something interesting. You know, as solicitors, climate change is constantly evolving. We need to be really aware of the changing landscape, and we need to be aware of the potential impact that that can have on your organisation. Because again, this is going to ethics, and it's going to, you know, the kind of things that the SRA will start looking at within the firm. So, you know, take the initiative, preempt climate legal risks, and then that will make sure that you are advising your clients and you're dealing with your own businesses in a competent and a compliant way. The guidance covers things like greenwashing, it covers physical and climate legal risks, as well as legal advice. And you know, it looks at your professional duties in relation to all of that. It also looks at SRA principles, and it looks at, you know, the ethical behaviour that's expected of solicitors and how that interplays with climate risk. So that's really, really important. As well as looking at the advice and guidance that we can give to members in relation to professional ethics, it's really, really important that we also make sure that the government and decision makers in the government understand the position of solicitors and what we're having to deal with. So earlier this year, I attended Parliament. I gave a keynote speech in Parliament on ethics within the legal sector. And that was before a number of government ministers, a number of peers from the House of Lords, members of the public, and there were also, the SRA was there as well. And we had a really lively discussion about social media, about the role of the SRA, and about the role of legislation in legal ethics. And I regularly stress the importance of ethics to make sure that those people who are coming into the profession and who are in the profession are really well equipped to tackle the legal landscape. Just to finish, I want to tell you how can you benefit from some of the things that I've been talking about, and how can you find out what's available to you from the Law Society as a solicitor. So the first thing that you all need to do, and this is completely free, doesn't cost you anything at all, is go on the Law Society website. We have a section on the Law Society website called My Law Society. Please register under My Law Society, and once you've done that, you will be able to access things that are not available to anybody else. They're only available to our members. So you will get the latest news, you will find out about events, and we hold a lot of free events, we hold a lot of free webinars. There is an online community of solicitors that you will have access to, and we've got like a forum where you can chat to each other, you can ask questions, you can just read about other people's questions and find out, you know, answers to those. You can access resources that you're interested in, things that are relevant to your practice. So when you go on to the website, you can choose. We've got a whole number of networks that you can join completely free, and you can choose the areas of law which you're interested in, and then you will only receive information and advice about those areas of law, resources, events about those areas of law. So the networks that we've got, where you might be interested, we've got Ethnic Solicitors Network, we've got a Disabled Solicitors Network, we've got a Junior Solicitors Network, we've got a Small Firms Network. So this is coming back to something that you mentioned about, you know, how are we supporting small firms and sole practitioners. If you get onto the, if you join the Small Firms Network, you will find out about what's available to small firms and sole practitioners in particular. But you have to join it to do that. We've got a Women's Solicitors Network, and we've got an LGBTQ plus network as well. So please do join those, get on the website, sign up under My Law Society, and you know, you'll be the first ones to find out how to get involved. You know, you could get onto a committee. We've got a number of policy committees which deal with all of the different areas of law that most of you have mentioned. And you could get onto one of those committees, but you have to sign up to find out when a vacancy comes up. And you'll find out when that happens. So thank you so much for listening to me and for your attention. I really appreciate it. The other thing that you can also do, I talked about social media. The Law Society is on social media. We have LinkedIn, we have Instagram, we're on Twitter, but we don't write anything, you know, bad on Twitter, it's all good. And we're even on TikTok now as well. So we've got a TikTok channel, please, and that's to reach out to aspiring solicitors, new solicitors, because that's where they go. They go to TikTok to find their information. I'm on LinkedIn. Please do connect with me or give me a follow. You know, you can find out what we're up to, what the Law Society is up to. I'm also on Instagram. I'm also on Twitter. But you know, that's how you're going to find out all the latest. So thank you so much for asking me to come and speak to you today. Thank you to International Lawyers Forum for arranging this event. And I'm really happy to, I will do my best to answer any questions that you might have. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much indeed, Shuja. It was indeed a privilege. Lubna, sorry. Lubna, it's such a privilege to have an insight about the ethics and particularly day-to-day practice we face. I won't be reconciled with my conscience if I shed a light on professional ethics now. So therefore, we're going to take questions. I think the first one is Henami.
Thank you very much, Lubna. Lubna, you've spoken at a recent Law Society roundtable about sole practitioners having no one else to delegate responsibility to when it comes to AML and client onboarding. Do you think this makes those of us in sole practice and small firm more alive to our SRA and AML obligation? Because quite literally, we are responsible for it all. Thank you.
Really good question. Really good question, because we know from statistics that Black, Asian and minority ethnic solicitors are much more likely to be investigated and referred to the tribunal or intervened by the SRA. We know now. The SRA knows that. We have raised concerns about this with the SRA, obviously, to say, you know, why are you targeting the small firms, the small practitioners, and those particularly from a Black, Asian, minority ethnic background. At the moment, the SRA is doing research into why that's happening. They've actually got, I think it's either Nottingham University or Exeter University are looking into it, and we're waiting to find out what the outcome of that is, because at the moment they can't tell us why that's the case. We don't believe that those who are from a Black, Asian and minority ethnic background are, what's the way to put it, you know, not doing as well in regulation. We don't believe that. We don't believe that at all. And you know, I've talked to a number of people, they've got Lexo accreditation, they're members of the Law Society accreditation schemes. You know, they're performing at a good level, so we don't know why they seem to be higher in numbers before the SRA. So all I can say to you, Hannah, at the moment, I'm afraid, is we need to wait to see the results of that research. And when we find that out, then we can challenge the SRA to find out why they seem to be targeting more and what they're going to do to change that and improve it. But the good thing is they acknowledge it and they recognise it now. I don't think they did before, but they do now. So they're very aware of it.
Fantastic approach. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. Again, Rao Manzoor.
Madam President, I have two questions actually. One, this is actually a follow-up from your discussion. This is regarding, as we know that barristers, they actually, they have to report other barristers of any misconduct they witness. So I was wondering if solicitors have the same. And second, if someone doesn't do that, so will the solicitor will have the same sanctions?
The answer is yes and yes, straight away. So if you look at so this is going back to the SRA Code of Conduct. I think it's Rule 7. I want to say Rule 7. Can't remember the exact paragraph, but I seem to think it's Rule 7. And it clearly says there that if a solicitor knows that another solicitor has breached any of the principles or the Code of Conduct, or if, and so it's not even that they know that they've breached it, if a solicitor knows of another solicitor who has acted in such a way that the SRA might want to investigate their conduct, you have to report. And if you don't report, you're breaching. You're in breach of that rule, so they can come after you as well for failing to report.
Thank you very much. This is what I was hoping as well. The second is that in 2008, I was actually representing in immigration tribunal, and I just said in front of a judge that, to be honest, and judge actually, he said, Mr. Khan, you are a lawyer. I was not solicitor then. You are a lawyer. You are under the oath all the time. So you have to be careful, even your day-to-day life, what you are saying. So my next question is about this. So after hearing, it just recently happened, that after hearing two solicitors, they met outside court and they agreed on 2-3 things. That okay, both of them said that okay, we will make this we will sign this consent order. The other solicitor said yes. In reply, we will sign this consent order, but the application has to be made. So we signed their consent order. We sent to them. We asked them, okay, this is our consent order. Can you please sign in return? The other solicitor actually, he refused to sign. No, that was actually by the way conversation. It was not like that. It was not binding. This is not undertaking, and this was you can't take this in court. So now we think this is kind of dishonesty. So we are actually thinking to take this matter to SRA. So are we right with this?
You know, I can't comment on an individual case. I don't know the facts of the case. I don't know anything about it. I think that you have to go back to the rule. Go back to the rule and read what the rule says. And if you think that there's been a breach of the rule, then you have a duty to report. That's the best I can say to you. I mean, there could be all sorts of reasons why they've changed their mind. It's not an undertaking. If it's not an undertaking, it's not an undertaking. But there could be all sorts of reasons why they've changed their mind. It could be because something to do with the client. It could be some information's come out that they didn't know. I don't know. I can't comment on the individual case. But I think the key thing is go back to the rules, go back to the principles. You know, if you think that they've been dishonest, there's nothing to stop you making a report, and it will be up to the SRA to look into it and investigate. It's up to them.
Thank you.
Thank you very much,
Hi, you mentioned sanctions and how it prevents you from acting or communicating. Are there any other areas that prevent that sort of communication?
Every single solicitor is required to perform due diligence on their client. And there are also, again, this going back to the SRA code, going back to the principles, you've got to check, who your client is, you've got to check, where, are they really who they say they are? Where are they getting their funds from? Where are they getting their money from? Why are they entering into the transaction? Is it an unusual transaction? Does it look out of the ordinary? If it does look out of the ordinary, have you investigated it? There are all sorts of duties on a solicitor when they start acting for clients and throughout the duration of the case. Those duties remain live.
I just meant on a more personal, sort of less grand level.
Sanctions, money laundering is the key one. That's absolutely the key, the sanctions is related to money laundering. And, whether they are politically active, you have to check that,
So politics could be,
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
In regards to
that second question, because I don't know if we've got more people.
Just one more. I promise I'll keep it really quick. Second question is in regards to people who are being intimidated with the law. It could be families, it could be solicitors themselves, it could be politicians, anyone. In terms of fear that the data will be misused, collaborated to incorporate design or to direct someone's life, and sort of use that intimidation, that fear to discourage a lifestyle for themselves. What would be the protocol if you were informed that that process may affect their life in the future? How would you, what protocol do you have in place to protect people from that sort of defamation or that corruption
So the Law Society is not a regulator. I need to make that really clear. The regulator is the Solicitors Regulation Authority. The Law Society is the representative body for solicitors. The SRA is the body that regulates solicitors. And, we have put out guidance about behaviour, which is available on the website. Obviously, you've got to act in the best interests of your client. You've got to act to uphold the rule of law, and your primary duty is to the court. And if you breach any of those, you're going to be, the SRA will be interested.
Thank you very much indeed. Anyway, so Shafiq sir, you practice in crime area. So would you like to add up and have a question for
It's more likely, rather than the question, I'm asking on behalf of the duty solicitors. But as you kindly highlighted, the difficulties the duty solicitors they're having at the moment because of the legal aid funding stuff. But the most important bit what I have come across, where accountable trial is ongoing, and then at the last minute the client that pleads guilty, and there are only few pages of evidence, and where the solicitors only get paid about $300-400 or up to £500 in terms of their legal cost for the work they have done a year and 2 years on the matter. But at the same time, the client who got the legal aid, so the legal aid agency, they're saying you need to pay the contribution. That contribution comes up to a 6-month period, which is £900 each month they ask for it. That comes to up to a total of £5,400. And that's where the client then start accusing solicitors that they have charged this much from the legal aid agency, where the solicitor only got paid for £500. So my point is that representation on behalf of the solicitors, that the legal aid agency, if they're taking the money from the client for over £5,000, where they're paying the solicitors, and you can understand it's a huge difference. So I don't know whether the representation will take us, or whether it's really fair for the system or not.
I've got to confess, I'm not a criminal legal aid solicitor myself. but I talk to a lot of criminal legal aid solicitors. Are you a member of our of the Criminal Law Solicitors Association, CLLS, I want to call them CLLS? CLLA. So there's a group of criminal law solicitors, which if you're not a member of them, I'd really strongly recommend you join, because they will want to hear your insight, and I will give you my card before we leave today. If you could drop me an email with what you've just told me, I'll pass it on to the relevant people and we'll pick it up.
Yeah, I am a member of.
Yeah. Oh, you are? Okay, good.
Okay, thank you very much indeed, Shafiq. So we have in-house Rizwan Sularia, Zubair Awan, with Mr. Khalid. All of them are solicitors, and just to acknowledge your presence here. So thank you very much indeed. Striking a balance, as I said to you, again, in a day-to-day practice, ethics, and keeping the sanctity of the profession intact. And integrity of profession intact is one of the pivotal and pertinent things the Lubna has highlighted today, and we can greatly benefited. To be very honest with you, I wasn't expecting that much insight of detail, so I'm hugely impressed. Likewise, everybody, I cannot thank you enough for the session today, and indeed, again, I've been saying again and again, and that's the core of my heart, actually. Indeed, we're privileged to have you in such a beautiful settings today. Last but not the least, Mr. Shahriyar Beg would do a closing remarks.
Thank you. I did write, I stand before you, but I sit before you today as the Secretary General of the International Lawyers Association, filled with gratitude and pride to address the esteemed gathering. You've had the honour of listening to the incredibly inspiring speech and question and answer session by the President of the Law Society of England and Wales, Ms. Lubna Shuja. Her speech highlighted the paramount importance of solicitors' ethics regulations and effectively the duty towards the client and the duty towards the court, capturing the very essence of our honourable vocation. I'd like to express my heartfelt thanks to each and every one of you gracing this event with your presence. Participation has made this gathering a resounding success. Your commitment to the field of law and your unwavering support for our organisation is truly commendable. It is through your dedication that we are able to come together today and celebrate the values that underpin our noble profession. I extend my deepest appreciation, Lubna, for her enlightening speech. Her expertise and passion have shed light on the vital responsibilities we carry as legal professionals. Her words have served as a reminder of the critical role we play in upholding justice, fairness, and the rule of law. We are truly fortunate to have the opportunity to learn from her wisdom and experience. Moreover, I want to express sincere appreciation to our esteemed President of the International Lawyers Association, Mr. Safdar Iqbal, whose guidance and vision has steered our organisation towards remarkable achievements. Your unwavering commitment to promoting excellence, fostering international cooperation, and upholding the principles of justice has been truly inspiring. We are privileged to have your leadership and support. And of course, our clients who will place their faith in us, seeking not just legal expertise, but also compassionate guidance through the often daunting legal journeys. As we fulfill our duty towards our clients, we must remember that every case represents a life impacted, dream realized, a wrong made right. Empathy and understanding lie at the core of our service. And it is the human connection that fosters trust, confidence in our profession. In closing, I would like to acknowledge the collective efforts of all individuals who have contributed to the success of this event. The organisers, the volunteers, support staff have worked tirelessly behind the scenes to ensure the smooth running of this gathering. Their hard work and dedication deserves our utmost appreciation. Let us carry with us the valuable lessons imparted by Lubna, and let us commit ourselves to upholding the duties we owe both to our clients and the court. Let us strive to be advocates of justice, champions of fairness, and defenders of the rule of law. Together we can make a lasting impact on society and shape a better future for all. As we draw the event to a close, I remind you that the wisdom imparted today would be best channeled through our work and interaction with others. Let us embrace the responsibilities we hold with unwavering dedication and the determination to make positive impact on the lives of our clients and pursue justice. Together, as we as a united community of legal practitioners, we can continue to uphold the principles and ideals that define our profession, fostering a more just and equitable society for all. Thank you once again to each one of you for your presence and unwavering support. May we move forward together, guided by the light of knowledge, compassion and justice. I would be remiss if I didn't take a moment to express my gratitude to the President of the Law Society of England and Wales for her enlightening speech. Your words have ignited a spark within us, reminding us of the principles that define our profession and rekindling our passion for the pursuit of justice. I will sum up on the final note that the illustrious Lubna Shuja, the 178th President of the Law Society of England and Wales, as the first Asian, first Muslim, and 7th female president, she has broken barriers, shattered glass ceilings, and paved the way for countless individuals in the legal profession. Let us end this day, or end this evening, with a resounding round of applause, please.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
We all love you, Lubna. That is indeed again a privilege. Thank you very much indeed, results of the a couple of bits and pieces we're gonna present to Lubna with she's been going from north and it's second day of Eid. That's not easy to take a time out from hectic schedules. So to appreciate that, the graciousness and sagaciousness of our president, Safdar Iqbal, he's gonna present a shield first and a certificate to that contest.